Okay, we'll wait for that to happen. Any other questions at the moment?
So I can just mention one shop which is in Norfolk, which is it used to be a pub called the Forge. When we applied for the licensing in that and the convenience store in that area for that particular premises, the local people were so happy and they were so supportive, and they even advised the council there should be the shop and the off license should be coming in that place. The only opposition we got, it was from a local pub somewhere about half an hour from that place. So he had a reputation with the local people in that area where he was operating, and he worked very closely with the local community. So that's how it's experienced, in this convenience store sector.
Okay, thank you. So the police have written to us, the authority, and asked to have some conditions added, and you've indicated that you'll accept those conditions.
Yes.
And in particular, there's some fairly standard conditions here, including the CCTV footage to be retained. So can you tell me about how many cameras you have and where they're positioned, please?
No, there will be covered. Yeah. So there will be 2 cameras in the counter area, and there will be 2 cameras by the alcohol area where it was displayed. And there will be 1 by the entrance and outside and inside, and 1 by the far end of the shop, and then 1 so there'll be about 7 altogether, the CCTV cameras. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And they'll all be operational at the same time, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. They all will be operational at the same time. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just to note, we've been joined by another member of the public, Vicky Hops. Could you just introduce yourself, please?
Hi, yes, I'm Vicky Hops. I actually started work with Norwich City Council last week, so I'm the Environmental Health and Public Protection Manager, and I'm just sitting in for this meeting for information only. Sorry, I wasn't here straight away. I had a few issues with getting access, so I will just be sitting observing today, if that's okay with you.
Okay, no problem. Apologies, I didn't recognise your name.
That's fine, you won't do.
Well, welcome to Norwich City Council and to this meeting.
Thank
you. Okay, thank you. Right, so I was talking about the conditions set out by the police. The staff training, again, that's something you've accepted. The notices will be displayed informing customers of the no alcohol drinking PSPO within the city centre. So and then in addition to that, no single cans and bottles of beer or cider will be sold at the premises. We're assuming that the police also mean to include lager in that list.
Yes,
as they've done in the following line. So no super strength beers, lagers or ciders of 5.5% ABV or above.
Yeah.
Sold. Okay, thank you. Yes, David.
Hiya, Chair. Thanks for that clarification. Just to confirm, is the applicant amending their operating schedule as intended to include lager on that 4th bullet point?
Yes, we're happy to include that. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, so councillors, do you have any questions at this time, or should we hear from Councillor Schmier on behalf of objectors first? Yeah, let's do that. Welcome.
I'm happy to ask a couple of questions.
Okay, sorry, Martin. We'll have Councillor Giles first.
Thanks, and thanks, Martin. A couple of questions. Firstly, in relation to the opening time of the premises being an hour prior to the license requested.
Yeah.
With regards to the alcohol that will be in the store during that hour period, will there be shutters down on those shelves so customers can't pick up that alcohol? How do you propose to work that?
Yeah. The chiller will be completely closed down with the shutter, and then the area will be blocked off. Where the alcohol are on display.
Okay, thank you. And the other question was in relation to the commitment on the operating schedule for the front and rear of the premises to be kept litter-free at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not it's entirely practical for the front of the premises to be kept litter-free at all times, and whether you want to amend that to make the wording more realistic, and how you would go about tackling issues of litter outside the premises. Thanks.
Yeah, as I said, we are going to be working with the local community anyway. So we wanted to make sure that our environment where we operate the business also clean and tidy. So we are happy to, do a, regular cleaning and checkup in the outside of the premises. Happy to do that because it's not a big issue for us, and as part of the job, we have to clean inside all the time anyway, but might as well just do the outside as well.
Okay, thank you. So for clarity, would you like to indicate how often a litter pick, if you like, will be carried out outside of the premises? So in terms of every number of hours, or daily, or how would you like to?
I think it's mainly we can do regularly once every 2 hours or 3 hours. Especially it's when the evenings where the alcohol we expect the sales, especially on the weekends, that time we need to make sure that it's done very often, than on an hourly basis. So it could be half hour, 1 hour, as and when it's required. Yes.
Okay, so David will need some clarity on that. So David, can you seek that, please?
Thank you, Chair. Just to confirm, what we're doing at the moment is introducing a proposed operating schedule, and the terms have got to be definite. They can't be vague, as we can't enforce vague terms. And they need to be definite and ones that you can comply with, as breach will be a criminal offence for which the applicant may be prosecuted. So therefore, when we read kept free of litter at all times, we thought that was unrealistic, as it is. So therefore, we look to you to say how often you're going to be clearing up outside the front of the premises. If it's once every 3 hours, I can write that down as offered condition.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do once every 2 hours to make it regular.
Okay, thank you. And
there's an open, still on it, Chair. There's an open area to the front. What open area to the rear will you be keeping clear of litter?
The open area at the rear is no access apart from the tenant itself. So there will be a skip. The large bins, the daily bins, will be stored at the back of the property, just to clear all the normal rubbish what we get inside the shop as part of.
Yes, that was really why I asked the question. I couldn't understand why the offer was made to clear front and rear when the rear wouldn't be accessible to the public.
Yeah, the rear is not accessible public anyway, so it's up to us to maintain inside as part of our housekeeping. Yeah. So
at the moment, you're going to go 2 hours, every 2 hours into the rear, despite the fact it's not accessible to the public.
Oh, no, I meant, sorry. Yeah, apologies. It's the front, because that's the main concern for the councillor at the moment.
So you are amending that offered condition, and I think you're probably right to do so, to say front only rather than front and rear as it currently reads.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, still on it, Chair.
Yep, no problem.
Then as to the offered condition you've just been, as to the comments you were making to the chair earlier, as to how you're going to make sure that the alcohol in the shop is not accessible to the public between opening hour start and start of what you're seeking as the licensable hours. You've said, and I'd like your confirmation, please, that this is intended to be included in your operating schedule. That the chiller will be closed, shuttered down or whatever, and any other area of the shop where alcohol is displayed will be inaccessible to the public. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that will be during hours when alcohol is not available to be sold.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Can I have some clarification on that point as well? So when you say it will be inaccessible, does that mean that you will cordon off an area of the shop? Okay, so can you indicate...
Chillers normally comes up with own shutters anyway. That can be easily done. So other ones can be cordoned off.
Okay, so shutters will be on the front of the unit.
Chiller.
Okay, so can you indicate on the shop plan, which is on page 22 of the document, can you indicate where you will be selling the alcohol, where you plan to have the alcohol?
I think we did mention, we just highlighted in red. Let me just quickly open the plan. 1 second, please. Because we were asked to highlight it in red.
Unfortunately, we have a black and white copy.
I see.
We'll just need you to confirm. I think I can see where the red marks have been made, and that is along the shelf behind the counter in both directions.
And along the side of the wall on the right hand side of the building.
Okay,
so it's visible to the staff all the way through where it's displayed.
Okay, thank you. So just for clarity, then we've got from the entrance door behind the counter, along the front shelf, and along the side shelf on the left of the plan as we're looking at it in our...
That is correct. Yes.
And also in the chiller unit. Okay, thank you. So that's helpful to know where that is going to be. Okay, David, if you've finished for now, we'll hear from Councillor Schmierer or Councillor Ackroyd if she has a question. We'll come back to you. Okay, Councillor Schmierer, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Right, wonderful. No technical issues. Thank you very much, Mr. Suvendran. I hope I pronounced that surname correctly. That was really reassuring what you've already come to this committee regarding, in particular, the conditions suggested by the police that you have accepted regarding the reminder of the public space protection order relating to street drinking, and also the condition regarding the sale of super strengths alcohol, notably beers, lager, and cider over 5.5% ABV, because these are a couple of the things that local residents, in particular in Warminster Court, and committee members have got a flavour of those concerns, have reported to myself and the other two councillors who represent them. Because in the words of one person, and this is of course nothing to do with the shop at the moment, but in their own words, it occasionally looks like, and I quote, a war zone, with lots of broken glass, lots of litter, and antisocial...
Councillor Schmierer, can I just ask who you're representing here? Because
yes, apologies.
You haven't submitted your own objection, so therefore you're speaking on behalf of one or more of the objectors who have sent a relevant representation.
Yes, I am. Well, I'm speaking on behalf of. Well, I'd like to speak on behalf of all the residents at Warminster Court, which is the retirement home. But in particular, the person is Mrs. Barbara Smith, who has submitted a handwritten letter of objection, which I believe is in your documents under Appendix C. I think it's the third one that you've got in front of you. As I say, it's the handwritten letter, and she lives at Warminster Court, which is just opposite number 77 to 79 Burr Street. Is that okay?
Yeah,
that's understood, Chair. But the councillor will have to restrain himself to pages 26 through to 29. He can only represent that person who's made a relevant representation.
Yes, and I'm quite happy to do so, because the representation that Mrs. Smith has made does pertain to areas of the licensing objectives, notably the prevention of crime and disorder, and also the prevention of public nuisance. And in particular, issues such as public drunkenness, which is why I was obviously referring to what she told me, and also the reduction in antisocial behaviour and disorder inside and outside the premises, as well as litter, which is the first of the four licensing objectives relating to, in particular, crime and disorder. And also, as I mentioned, the prevention of public nuisance, which, as I'm sure committee members are well aware, is to be interpreted, and I quote, in its widest sense, and will take to include such issues as noise, light, odour, litter, and antisocial behaviour, where those matters impact on those living, working, or otherwise engaged in normal activity in an area. Hence why I decided to quote the conversation that I had with Mrs. Smith yesterday. So as I mentioned, there are those concerns, and two of those have there are two areas already which the applicant or Mr. Savendran has already done a lot to mitigate. In particular, they say the reminder of the PSPO and all regarding street drinking, and also the sale of super strengths alcohol. The final issue that residents are concerned about is about the operating hours in which alcohol will be sold, going as late as 11 o'clock. Now, Mrs. Smith mentions, for example, the shop, the Tesco shop, if I remember rightly, down on Westlegate, which does have an operating schedule not dissimilar from the one that the applicant is looking to have. However, they do have, for example, a security guard there, and obviously potentially more staff who are able to enforce the operating conditions that shop operates under. And that is the concern that I think residents have got here, is the late night potential of antisocial behaviour, which goes beyond 8 or 9 o'clock. So I'm going to put this to the applicant, if I may, about potentially revising the hours of the sale of alcohol, in particular in weekdays, but also just generally throughout the week. Would he consider potentially reducing it down to 8 or 9 o'clock in accordance with the wishes of the local community? Because if this is, as the applicant has said, to be a community shop which works with the local community, then that will obviously assuage a lot of the concerns regarding the potential for crime and antisocial behaviour, of which committee members can see the concerns raised by at least 3 of the residents in Warminster Court, which is the reason why a lot of them aren't here or can't be here, is because it's a retirement premises for those over 60, and for IT reasons they've asked me to represent them.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, we'll put that question to Mr. Savendran, noting that it is a question, and that your response to that is entirely up to you. Yeah, please respond, and then we can hear from Councillor Schmierer again. So, Mr. Savendran, please.
Oh, thank you, Councillor. It's very good information about the local area. So, as I said, we are going to work with the local community to support them in any way we can. If we have to reduce the hours, I mean, we can go up to 8 till 10 daily, if that is, if makes a little comfort to them.
Okay, so Mr. Savendran, are you offering this as a amended operating hours?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
You are.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so David will note that and the committee will note that.
Yeah, Chair, just to be entirely clear, the application, if it's correct, that you're now considering has been significantly amended. So on page 11 and 12 of 36, it's intended, I understand, to replace 2300 every time it's mentioned with 2200. And that would be the application moving forward. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Ackroyd, please, and then Councillor Giles.
Yes, I noticed that I think your shop is going to close at 2200 on a Sunday evening. Have I got that right? The shop itself. Looking at page 12.
Let me just open the application.
Pages 13 to 14, Chair.
Okay, yeah, hours. The premises is open to the public. 10 o'clock on a Sunday, 7 till
10 o'clock on a Sunday. So I wondered from that viewpoint whether you would, whether it would then tie in with actually having a 9 o'clock finish for the sale of alcohol on a Sunday evening.
That makes sense. Thank you for that, Councillor. That makes sense. If you're reducing 1 hour on a weekdays, obviously we'll be reducing the 1 hour on a Sunday as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, again, that's noted. And David, please.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I'm being pedantic, but it's useful not to make mistakes at this point. Yep. So on page 12, the application going forward is replacing end 2200 hours with end 2100 hours. Is that correct?
On a Sunday.
On a Sunday only, yes.
On a Sunday, okay. And you're offering that as a amended
yes.
application. Okay, thank you. Right, Councillor Giles. Sorry, Councillor Ackroyd, did you have any other questions at this stage? Okay, Councillor Giles, please.
I was going to ask the same question. So.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Schmierer, do you have any further questions or would you like to say anything else?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a welcome to residents. I suspect it probably won't go far enough, and that sort of 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock end time would be what they would want to see, or else that there is some kind of, like the Tesco shop down on Westlegate, some kind of extra staffing to ensure that the antisocial behaviour that already unfortunately exists around Burr Street and around Thorn Lane, which is very close by, is dealt with and assuaged. So I don't know if the applicant would be willing to move on the times even further.
Okay, well, I'll put that to the applicant, but also I'll ask you, Mr. Savendran, have you considered additional staffing, or in fact, could you tell the committee what levels of staffing you'll have in the evenings when you're selling the alcohol?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, I mean, especially during the evening where we expect that to be busy, we always tend to have double the number of staffing than the normal the daytime anyway, because it's not that busy during the daytime. So we will make sure that the additional staffs are on, especially on Friday, Saturday evenings, to accommodate, see if there is any issues we are facing. I mean, then again, this, we haven't started the business yet, so we won't know what the consequence we are going to face, as running the business. So as and when necessary, we'll take the necessary action in order to maintain the this safety of our neighbors and the community.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Schmira, do you want to come back on that?
Yes, so again, that is welcome in particular on a Friday and Saturday night, because as the objector mentioned, for example, this is an area that does suffer from noise, litter, and other forms of antisocial or even criminal behaviour. Now, obviously, I know the shop hasn't operated, but anything that may exacerbate that is, of course, a concern for local residents. And the impact that alcohol sales and alcohol consumption has on that crime and antisocial behaviour is one of the driving factors, and one of the concerns, of course, that residents have expressed in the submissions that you have got in front of you. But just to confirm, you're not willing to reduce the hours, the operating hours further down to 8 or 9, which is what ideally the local community, in particular the residents from Warminster Court, would like to see.
Not at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, Councillor Schmira?
I mean, just to reiterate that, as I said, this is something that I believe is in the gift of the committee to make that, because it is a concern for local residents. It is an area, unfortunately, that is blighted by high levels of crime and antisocial behaviour, and a cursory look at the police and crime statistics for the sort of Burr Street and Drew on Road area will highlight that. And this is something that the residents have obviously expressed in their submissions, but it's not just the criminal side of things. It is the wider nuisance. It is the wider things pertaining to litter. It is the wider things pertaining to noise that happens.
Councillor, we're beginning to repeat ourselves.
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate those concerns that residents like to express.
That is noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
With this application, obviously we have a shop here that isn't operating yet, and the committee has to consider whether the shop itself, the existence of the shop, will increase the issues that you've said, and indeed whether the DPS and the operator is going to enable sufficient mitigation to prevent that or to minimise any effects of that. And it's up to the committee to make that decision and impose any further conditions that it feels necessary should it grant this licence. Okay, David, do you have any additional questions?
Yes, Chair, just to technical point, conditions imposed if appropriate. Necessary was a few years back, but that's sort of a hangover from earlier in the legislation. We're on appropriate now. Then just to confirm what isn't an offered condition. At the moment, I've not been told there's an offered condition regarding staffing. And at the beginning of committee, there was also details about CCTV, numbers, location and coverage and so on. And just to flag with committee, so far as I'm aware, at the moment that isn't an offered condition either, i.e. those details. CCTV is as included in that police bullet point and the current operating schedule, but those extra details, so far as I'm aware at the moment, are not within the intended operating schedule. Okay,
Mr. Subhadran, would you like to repeat the details about the CCTV, if you're able to, confirm where those units will be placed, or the number of units, and confirm if you're offering that as a condition or as part of that condition?
Yes, thank you, Chair. There will be 2 on the counter, and the 2 will be where the alcohol is stored, and there will be 1 outside at the entrance will be inside to cover the in and out who is coming in and out. And so altogether there will be 7. The rest of them will be allocated into the other area.
David, is that sufficient?
Thank you, Chair. That's sufficient detail.
Okay.
Recorded to 28 days and be available to police or licensing authority on request. So as long as all those CCTV items can satisfy that condition, then that should be fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we've heard from Councillor Shmira relating to one of the objectors. There were 2 further objectors. Both of them have highlighted issues in the area and the potential for noise relating from late night drinking. Mr. Savendran, do you have for this premises a policy about entry for people who turn up at the shop who may be under the influence of alcohol?
Well, as you know, so if we realize the person is under the influence, obviously we have to refrain him from coming to the shop anyway. We can't even serve them because that's one of the alcoholic conditions where we cannot serve a person who is under the influence of the alcohol already. So we will try and make sure that he doesn't enter the premises at all. But whether he will what the consequence we're going to face, we don't know, but we have to make sure that we can to make sure that it will be dealt with properly.
Okay, so you have a refusals policy.
Oh yes, we have a refusals policy. We'll keep a register to maintain as and when some the licensing authorities come and visit us. We'll keep a record of the manual the refusal register.
Okay, so again, David will ask, are you offering that as part of the conditions? Mr. Savendran?
Indeed he will, yes.
Yes, definitely will, because not only that, we will have a refusal book, we'll have the training record, we also have all the notices displayed throughout the premises, inside, outside, to make sure that it's there for everybody to see it.
Okay.
So looking at page 15.
Yeah, that's under C, public safety. There is some wording in there already relating to records.
So we're going to keep records of challenge 25.
Yes.
Disorder, ejection, or other relevant incident. So if we add including refusal of access.
Yes, and refusal of sale, I think, which is already there, I think.
Yeah, it might well be. But refusal of access, I think if we make that specific, then this book of records will be kept on the premises at all times. And is that in writing or electronic or both?
It's writing.
We'll keep records written in English, and that's what, lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just for members of the public, the purpose of getting the detail recorded for the conditions that are offered is to ensure that the document is finalised for the panel to consider the application as a whole, rather than actually making decisions at this stage. Mr. Savendran, one final thing relating to objectors. They talk about litter in the wider area, and in particular bottles, cans being left by people who are drinking in the area. One condition that we sometimes receive and impose on premises is stickering of alcohol. So stickers identifying the shop being placed on all alcohol units. So all individual items and individual parts of packs. Is that something that you would be prepared to offer as a condition? as part of
Yeah, I've heard about this. Because many of the council do that as part of keep the places tidy, because things could blown away by wind and whatever the reason from one place to the other. So so obviously we know. I mean, if that is needed, I'm not sure what how we can prevent that from happening. If it's
the purpose of having those on your items of alcohol is to identify where they may come from. If there are problems in the area,
Sure.
they may help us as an authority or the police to identify where problems may be coming from, with a view to getting those issues sorted. So is that something that you would be prepared to offer as a condition?
Yeah, I mean, we might consider. I mean, obviously, once we get to know the area, what sort of problems we are facing. Obviously, we won't know that's happening. So until it actually happen. So if we are happy to get feedback and advice on a regular basis from the licensing authority and from the policing authority, and see how we can prevent this happening going forward, if it happens at all.
Well, indeed, it may not. And if you have labels on your alcohol, we'll know whether it is or isn't. David, please, question on that.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So the agent has been courteous, but hasn't confirmed that.
Yes.
And the other thing I'm going to raise is, of course, we've got the police condition as to no individual items to be sold regarding cans, bottles, and so on. So it would not be, unless you're going to unwrap a multi-pack and then wrap it up again, there might be practical issues there. But at the moment, anyway, the applicant hasn't said yes to that suggestion.
Correct. Yes. Okay. Right. Unless there are any further questions from, yes, Councillor Ackroyd, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, related to the refusals policy, I wanted to just go back to staffing, because I think I'm right. I think you said that you weren't sure at the moment how many members of staff you would be employing, because it was a sort of new field and you don't know. But clearly, if you're operating a refusals policy, that requires somebody to be doing that. And I'm interested to know, when you begin, how many staff you'll employ during the day, and then how many in the evening. I mean, going forward, you'll possibly change that. You'll possibly need to change it. But I'm just interested to know how you'll begin with staffing. Thank you.
Initially, we'll have 3 people on the shop during daytime anyway, and there will be 4 altogether in the evening. But as I said, you're right, Councillor. As I said, we don't know how busy we're going to be, whether it's going to be busy in the evenings, mornings, afternoons. We don't know. So we will accommodate and change as and when necessary as we go along.
Thank you. And apologies if I missed the numbers earlier. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Ackroyd. So just to confirm, there will always be at least 3 members of staff on the premises from the time that you open.
That is correct. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. David has a question on that.
Oh, sorry, Chair. I mean, you phrased it as an expectation. I'm not sure whether it's an offered condition at the moment. I just need to be clear on that for the record before you go on to consider the application. So the suggestion was at least 3 members of staff at all times, effectively, when open.
Indeed.
And if that is an offered condition, I need to write it down. If it's more of an expectation based on facts, then I shan't.
Okay, Mr. Savendran, can you just confirm that?
It's not an offered condition, as I said. It's based on the expectation. How are we going to going forward? How are we going to run the business? Yeah.
Okay.
So that's not an offered condition, but an expectation.
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so the committee can note that and take account. Councillor Giles, please.
Thanks, Chair. Would Mr. Suvendran offer a condition of at least 2 members of staff on the premises at any one time?
Yeah, that is obvious anyway. So we'll have to have 2 people all the time anyway, because it's not possible to run the shop like this with 1 person.
And is that a condition you're volunteering to go on the operating license?
I mean, it is compulsory for us to do it anyway. I mean, I don't know whether it's worth putting it as a condition. I don't know, but it's for our own, safety. We have to have 2 people minimum.
I'll let David.
As the councillor says, it just needs clarity. If you have to run that way anyway,
Yeah,
it seems sensible to be part of your operating condition, but we cannot demand it from you. So over to you at this stage as to, are you offering, as part of your intended operating schedule, minimum of 2 members of staff on duty whilst premises are open?
okay. Yeah, thank you for that. If it makes life easy for everybody, we're happy to incorporate in the operating schedule.
I'll put that as a yes at the moment. Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just look around my screen and see, are there any final thoughts from councillors? Any questions, Councillor Shmira included? Okay, thank you. And Mr. Savendran, and then we'll go to David. Do you have anything else final to say?
No, thank you. All I say is thank you everyone for coming to this and listening to us. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. So we'll hear from David, who may have some points of clarification.
It's only the one. No, it's fine, Chair. We've got the applicant present. We haven't heard from him. If he could just confirm that everything we've heard is approved by him. I'm sure it is, but it's silly not to have the matter checked in a public forum.
Okay, we'll ask the Logesh.
We can't hear you, unfortunately. Are you able to unmute your microphone? We still can't hear.
I still can't hear you.
Leonie, are you able to help?
Hello, hi.
Hi, yes, we can hear you now. Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, I'm here. Everything. I'm happy for that. I can cooperate with the conditions.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Right. Okay. So what we'll do now is we'll move into our various rooms online, and we'll discuss this application, and we'll come back to you. I would suggest maybe 20-25 minutes. So if we come back at 11:30.
Okay. Do you want us to stay on the line or just just mute?
I'll put you back into the waiting room and put the members into a separate room. So I'll put you back into the waiting room.
Yeah. Okay. So applicants and Mr. Savendran, if you just wait in the waiting room online, and then you'll be invited to come back in at the appropriate time.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Just invite everyone back into the meeting room, Chair.
Thanks, Leonie. Okay, welcome back. I think we're just waiting for the agent, aren't we? Yeah, and has the agent been invited back in?
He has. It just has a message saying joining at the moment.
Ah, right. Okay. We got a problem?
I don't know if the agent is having some technical issues. He seems to have disappeared from the waiting room, so he may be joining and rejoining. So if he pops up in the waiting room, I'll
Yeah. Well, we better wait.
He hasn't appeared yet, Chair. I don't know if there's a way for someone to give him a call or. You're on mute, Chair.
Thank you. Rachel, do you have contact details for Mr. Surendran?
Lokswaran have his number.
Yeah, he might be calling in now, I think. Leonie, are we back live yet, or is that something you still have to activate?
No, we are back live.
Okay. So for members of the public, I'll just confirm that we were just waiting for one more person to join the meeting before we resume.
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. It just.
Okay, no problem. If you could just, if you wouldn't mind putting your video on. So
video.
we can see you again.
Sorry, it's comes up with a different name, so ignore the name.
Okay, no problem. Mr. Savandran, yes,
Yeah.
welcome back. Okay, so welcome back, everybody.
Thank you.
It's licensing subcommittee, Friday, 14th of January 2022. We're considering the application for grant of a premises license for 77 and 79 Burr Street, Norwich. And the determination of the committee is to grant the license as offered and amended through the committee meeting. So there were some amendments to timings and conditions accepted and offered through the meeting. There were no further conditions added at this stage. The committee considered that the applicant is willing to work with the community and consider the licensing objectives and adapt to those as necessary. However, if there is a problem, there is a review process that members of the public can begin, and of course we'll have another look at that license if that is the case. I'll hand over to David, who will summarise the details of the conditions and the appeal process. So David, please. And you're muted. David, you're muted.
Honestly, once per committee, Chair, thanks.
Yeah, so you have to start again.
So my intention is to go through the reasons. I can summarise the conditions as amended if you'd also like that done. But at the moment, I'm just going to flag in bullet point format the reasons why you've come to your view. Yeah. And you've already flagged the applicants demonstrating via their operating schedule that the mitigation of the concerns of local residents so far as within his power to do so. The committee's noted the lack of current police objections with their proposed conditions accepted. Committee's noted the lack of environmental health concerns. Committee's noted the statutory guidance regarding the behaviour of members of the public once outside the control of the premises licence holder is a matter for individual responsibility and thus not a reason to refuse its application. Committee's noted there's problem behaviour in this area, unfortunately, but here there's an application for a lawful supply of alcohol and there are sufficient controls on the operating schedule to mitigate the risk. It's felt unreasonable to reduce the hours further on the current evidence available. Traffic speed concerns are not relevant to this committee's decision making, and there's no evidence suggesting the business will be run badly or with an unsatisfactory DPS. It's noted there's experience of other premises in Norwich. In summary, that's the reason for the unanimous decision to grant as amended. There are appeal powers, and local residents who feel that this is effectively the wrong decision may appeal it on receipt of written notification, and they'll have 21 days to do so to the Magistrates' Court. The applicant, now premises licence holder, may not appeal as they have been given what they asked for.
Okay, thank you, David. So are there any questions from any members of the public or Councillor Schmira? If not, thank you to everybody for coming to this meeting, and it is closed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.